There we go, much better. What's good, y'all? It's your man here. Did Tnickless deserve to be canceled? As of recent, I noticed the topic around Tnickless rising a lot, specifically around the idea or the question of whether or not he deserved to be canceled 2 years ago. Primarily coming from a lot of people who used to watch Tnickless back in the day, and they're starting to miss his content again, and they're starting to look back at things and wondering, man, well, you know, it was only a 2-year age gap, whatever. He didn't deserve to be canceled. I want his content again, right? They missed Tnickless' content. And part of that may be due to the uncertain times we're in right now, right? People are seeking a form of comfort. And the comfort Tnickless content brought is a feeling I know very well. I used to be a really big fan of Tnickless back in like 2022 to 2023. I was a huge fan of Tnickless. Every day before school, I was watching his videos. You know, every day after school, I was watching his videos. And so as a fan of Tnickless, I feel, you know, pretty qualified to talk about this and whether or not he deserved to be canceled. But first, we'll go into, you know, a quick overview and history of Tnickless. Not a very long one. I'm not some fucking video essayist. Look, you're not going to see me start talking about Tnickless, where he was born, the fucking school he went to, you know, a little, like, fucking, the time he fucking scratched his toe as a child, or I'm not that kind of person. We're just going to briefly overview him and his content in, like, 2 or 3 minutes, because I don't want to waste people's time, right? That's all you need to know, right? An overview of who Tnickless was, you know, the vibe he gave off, like a brief history of how he came up on the platform, and obviously what he did wrong to lead him to being canceled. And then we are going to discuss whether or not what he did was wrong, why it was wrong if that's the case, and then obviously respond to some comments and a video defending Tnickless. I believe Tnickless started posting really around 2021, and he started to gain popularity around 2022-ish. Pretty much all of his content focused around his community and their own submissions. Reacting to viewers' screen time and what apps they use the most. Spotify transitions, reacting to Riz, school lunches, school confessions. Confessions was a big one. Viewers would send in submissions of some kind of outlandish or crazy thing in relation to the subject. Absolutely crazy grades. Oh, you know, they're failing lunch. Insane ringtones that are like super cringy, you know. Very tight-knit and funny community. And his streams give off, you know, kind of a broke and comforting vibe, you know. He would wear a bonnet a lot of the time. The camera quality wasn't that great. He was living in like a pretty barren apartment. Overall, just came off as, you know, a really, you know, chill, funny, positive guy who, you know, would react to his viewers' crazy memes and stuff like that. His content really started to blow up on TikTok, netting him well over 2 million followers. All was going great until around February of 2023 when Tnickless would start a relationship with a person who was 17 at the time, and he was 20. The person came out anonymously, showing that they clearly weren't doing it to gain clout or anything like that, that they were genuinely, you know, groomed, and basically showed all the chats that person had with Tnickless. I'm gonna go ahead and play the actual video by the victim. It's pretty clear, concise, to the point. So let's just go ahead and put that on screen real quick.
For him since February 2023. Before I was a mod, I was a huge fan of his, and we became friends after he chose me as a mod. As a minor, I'd like to keep my privacy, and also in case I get accused of doing this for attention, so I'll go by B. I will also quickly talk about other bad things he said and did besides grooming me. The grooming started in early September 2023 when me and Tyler were playing a Roblox gambling game called Crash. When talking about the game, he said he kept pulling out early and I joked that I wouldn't pull out of him. He then said, oh, but if I were to say that, I'd be wrong. Here is proof of him mentioning when he said that. I thought it was okay, which I will explain next, and just jokes, so I told him I don't mind. That's when sexual jokes between us started, and either that night or another night. It's difficult to remember exactly when. We had finished playing Roblox late at night and we were just in our beds. Since we had made sexual jokes, it led to him coercing me into masturbating on call while he told me how he wanted me to do it. After that night, we had sex, masturbating together on a call, a total of 7 more times after that, all of those times being nowhere near me turning 18. I'm still 17. Here is proof. We would call each time we had sex as rounds. Tyler also tried to make actual plans to fly me out. Here are the 2 videos that best show proof of his pedophilia. All my videos of proof have no edits or cuts, and I show that it's his account. You can't link a Twitch account to Discord if you don't have the login. also told me once that even if I had he and him were to have sex, it wouldn't work and he'd keep going anyway. He also said he was going to force his way into my privates.
When Tnickless heard about this, he immediately deleted both of his Discords and went online to make a response video, which was really bad, where he basically just admitted to everything.
I'm just gonna start from yesterday and we'll just continue on from there. And I'm just gonna try to, give a timeline basically. So initially, I did delete the Discords. I deleted both Discords, one with 160,000 members and the other one with 20,000 members. Like I said, in that mindset, I was 20, she was 17. I thought everything was genuine. I never once thought that I was making her uncomfortable.
And I say that because he didn't try and deny anything, right? He said, I was 20, she was 17. He argued that everything was mutual between them. I'll toss a couple chats on screen, but one example of him being just a fucking creep in this shit is, let me in before I gotta force my way in. I'm not going to read anymore. I think you get the fucking point from that. He made a tweet after that where he was like, all right, guys, you guys got what you wanted. I've lost, 4K subs on Twitch. I've lost, subscribers, followers. All right, everything's down. I lost my form of income. All right, you guys got what you wanted, And I don't really get what he's talking about, like, oh, you got what you wanted, right? No one wants to see anyone's career die off, especially not his, right? His viewers never wanted that to him. I never wanted to see Tnickless' career die off. I wanted to see him grow, get money, get up, get out of whatever, poor situation he was. But when you talk to minors, you have to accept the ramifications of doing that, right? And what you did wrong. And Tnickless got totally slammed, clown on TikTok. Everyone was making fun of him, bringing up the messages that he was, talking with the minor to. His TikTok with over 2 million followers got completely banned because it was reported so much. Calling him a creep, weirdo, all that shit, right? A whole bunch of hate going towards him. And it kind of all died off. Tnickless completely stopped posting. And no one really brought it up after, right? He was kind of majorly forgotten until around March of this year, when I noticed comments appearing on videos that were saying Tnickless uncancellation April 5th. And I initially thought, okay, whatever, right? There's a small amount of people who miss Tnickless content. They miss the comfort it brought them. They want that back in their lives. And so I thought only a small amount of people wanted that. Only a small amount of people really cared that much. It was only a little itty bitty amount of people, nothing crazy, nothing major. However, literally this morning, I saw a TikTok from a person defending Tnickless, saying he didn't deserve to be canceled, all that shit. And the video right now is sitting at like 90,000 likes. So possibly hundreds of thousands of people are under the opinion that Tnickless did not deserve to get banned. He didn't deserve it, whatever. And so I am going to play that video and I'm going to respond to it. And we're going to kind of go over and conversate as to whether or not he deserved it.
Growing up made me realize Tnickless did not deserve to get canceled. At the time, it sounded bad, but when you really think about it, it wasn't even that bad. Tnickless was 19 years old. No, not 20, but 19 years old or going to turn 20. Meanwhile, she was 17. So y'all really canceled this nigga over a 2-year age difference. And it's not even like she was freshly turning 17. She was turning 18 in literally a couple of months.
That's not the point though, right? The age gap itself doesn't really fucking matter. First of all, Tnickless admitted himself he was 20 at the time.
I was 20, they were 17 turning 18. I was 20, she was 17.
Not the age gap that matters, right? You can just argue, well, it's only a 3-year age gap, right? The age gap itself doesn't matter. It's the fact that Tnickless went out of his way to groom and talk to a minor. And if you read the messages, you can clearly see Tnickless is finding attraction in this person being a minor, right? Attracted to the idea of them being in high school still. As a 20-year-old, he went out of his way. He could have gone with any other woman, could have talked to anyone of any other age. He chose a minor under the age of 18. Even if he was 19, let's go with that. Even if he was 19, he knows at 19 years old, people who are under the age of 18, it's a no-go. You don't go for those kind of people. You do not talk to those kind of people, whatever. By going that far, he is showing sexual attraction to minors. He clearly has fantasies of minors from what we've read in the chats. So you can't sit here and go, oh, it was a 2-year age gap, oh, it was a 3-year age gap, because it just, the end of the day, doesn't matter. So the intentions of what was going on in his mind, right? And we know his intentions were sexual, and we know at this point that he has attraction to minors, right? And we can't support a person like that.
Again, a 2-year age difference. Oh, but she was still a minor, even though it's a 2-year age difference. By that logic, if you and your girlfriend were both 17 and you recently turned 18 while she was 17, does that make you
That's
a
not the
predator?
same thing at all, though. That's a completely, that's a false comparison. Because at that moment, you would both be 17 years old. You would both be minors who met. You are still under the age of consent. You are both minors. And so there's no societal anything that should be stopping you from dating each other. T. Nickles was a 19, 20-year-old man, a grown man over the age of 18, can consensually have sex, and he chose to go under the age of 18 for his date, right? He chose to try and have a sexual encounter with a minor. He chose to groom a minor. He chose to have sexual chats with a minor. He chose a minor, right? He made that decision. So that's just not the same thing at all. It's not like T. Nickles was a minor when she met her, and then T. Nickles turned an adult while she was still a minor. That's just not the situation.
The only problem was when he said, just wait and graduate. Which at the time, yes, it sounded bad, but now it doesn't even sound bad because keep in mind, it's legal, so he didn't even have to wait till she graduated. He was basically saying just wait and graduate to basically say, hey, I don't feel comfortable talking to high schoolers. Even though it's legal, I don't feel comfortable talking to high schoolers, so just graduate.
Again, this is just completely wrong, right? So he was saying just wait and graduate, graduate, whatever, so he can fly her out. It's clear you didn't read the messages. All right. Because if you read them, you'd know he said, A, let me fly you out. And you can't just fly out a 17-year-old. So he was saying, A, when you turn 18, let me fly you out to come down here. You're trying to argue some moral thing. He was talking sexually to her in the chats, right? It's just a blatant lie to say, oh, he wasn't talking sexually. He didn't mean anything sexually, because everything in those chats was sexual. There's no reason to make a video defending this guy, right? I understand if you miss T. Nickles, you miss his content. I do too. I love T. Nickles. I love his content. But I can draw the line when someone talks to a minor, right? When someone's a weirdo who has fantasies about high schoolers as an adult, who talks to minors, etc.
And I'm not saying it's okay to talk to high schoolers, but come on, bro. A 1.5 to 2-year age gap is not crazy at all. Yeah, we have actual predators that roam this app and get slaps on the wrist. Y'all basically just canceled this man and ruined his career over a 2-year age gap.
It's about the fact that he was a full-grown man who chose to go under the age of consent and talk to a minor actively, sexually, etc. He knew the risks. He did it anyways because he's attracted to those kind of people. That's the fact of the matter. Freshly 18, barely legal. You get what I'm saying. I don't need to go any further. Absolutely no sense, right? It's pretty clear that, T. Nickles, he misused his platform, and we haven't seen any actual growth or anything like that. And so, yeah, I'm going to say, given how he misused his platform to talk to minors, he knew the risks. He did it anyways. He groomed this minor for an extended period of time, talked sexually to them, all that stuff, right? It's just, yeah. So just stop. Stop defending T. Nickles. Stop saying, oh, it's a small age gap. The age gap doesn't matter. It's about the intention, it's about what he wanted, right? It's about the context behind that. It's about what he did, right? So overall, did T. Nickles deserve to be canceled? I say yes. He misused his platform. You get the point. You just don't do that. It's a cardinal sin on the internet. He knew the risk. He did it anyways, right? He's attracted to minors. Why else would he risk so much? Fact of the matter. So that's it. I'm Hachi Man. Subscribe for more to Make Me Less Broke. I'm going to talk to you next time.